Monica, first of all, I think this probably is a pretty new format to an Irish stage. Tell us what's involved. It sounds as if it's the great hits from opera and ballet.
It's the best of, so it's the kind of the easiest, I suppose, introduction to both. So hopefully there'll be a bit of a overlap of the audience. So people that wouldn't maybe respond to ballet but would be responsive to opera and vice versa would come to see both. But it's something that the Russians did every year to open their season, and now it's open season time for all the theatres. They're only beginning to open now. So, you know, myself and the company director, we just thought it was a great idea. It's a great format, and to highlight new talent. And all the singers, all the opera singers are Irish, and it's a new wave of talent.
Well, let's go back then to when you first came across it in Russia. You studied at the Perm State Ballet. You went there when you were...
I studied for 3 years, and I ended up working over there for about 14 years. So I was there for a long time, over half my life.
So you went over there as a teenager,
Yeah,
wasn't
I'd just gone 14, yeah, and I went over there.
And that opening season, how important a thing was it, or what sort of flavour was there around it?
I think it sets the tone, and I think it pushes the dancers and the opera. And not only, we don't normally collaborate that much. You know, there's sometimes...
Between opera and ballet?
Between opera and ballet. There is a lot of ballet in operas, but they're usually rehearsed. They were always rehearsed separate, so there's never any overlap. We never really mixed. But I always thought it would be an interesting project to try here. And I'm just so glad, you know, we just, with the new company director, Fraser Brown, we've just started to try a lot more new formats, where I would have been a bit more conservative.
This is your own company?
Yes. I would have been a lot more conservative and just focusing on the ballet, whereas he is pushing the company constantly and the schools, the whole format forward, whereas I wouldn't have had the strength to do it by myself.
In fact, part of the push is the academy that you have set up yourself. Explain what's involved there. This is the first full-time academy in Ireland.
Yes, we have our first full-time academy for ballet in Ireland, and it opened on the 17th of September. So it's a huge historic moment, and it's something I'm very proud of, and it's a part of a dream I've always had. It means that dancers don't have to travel abroad, and you can stay with your family. One thing I do regret is not having my folks around me and that kind of warmth and love, I suppose, when you're away training. And it's such a difficult discipline, and it can be so isolating. And it's a sport, essentially, and there's a lot of bullying, and there's a lot of, you know, mind play and emotional tactics involved. And you need to have your family to lean back on. And waves of Irish people leave every year to go abroad. But now we have brought in a ballet master from Russia, from the Bolshoi Theatre, to train these dancers. And they're getting practically one-on-one private training with him now. And I'm very excited to see where it's going to be at the end of the year.
I remember at the time when you first went to Perm, I mean, you were on the radio quite a bit when you come back talking about how difficult it was, the sort of discipline, the physical discipline, the dietary discipline that was inflicted upon you. So what sort of discipline, both dietary and physical, is going to be inflicted on the students in your academy?
Well, it's the thing with dietary, you know, I've learnt so much about nutrition since, and it's huge. It plays a huge role. What you put into your body is essentially what you get out. So I speak to them and I say, you know, you just watch what you eat, but you don't become obsessed with it, because the amount of calories these people are going to be burning, you wouldn't be looking at Sonia and Sullivan going, no, you can't have a Big Mac, because clearly the girl needs a couple of Big Macs. Do you know what I mean? So you don't do that with them. Physically, they've got to push themselves to the limits nearly every day. Like, they've been in for a couple of days now, and they're already, you can see the hair is fuzzy. They're just kind of like looking at you glazed over, because they are exhausted. It is hard work, but it prepares them for a hard life of dance. You have to be very disciplined within yourself, and you have to have your body really, really well trained to cope with the kind of pressures and stress you put it under.
And the people, I presume it's both girls and boys who are attending
we
the
don't
academy?
have boys this year. We have a lot of interest for boys next year, but it's a male teacher at the moment, so it's quite an interesting approach to it.
What sort of age would you expect them to be coming to you at? In a full-time academy, it's obviously later on, but when would you start with a child dancing?
I'd start thinking about a professional career and what you're going to do at about 14. But you can go up to 16 and 17. It depends on your body, it depends on what background you've had. Like, of course you can't get up off the couch at 17 and go, I'm going to do ballet. It doesn't work like that. But if you have something behind you and you're flexible and you've got a good brain, because your brain it's brain over your body, it's mind over matter, literally, whether you can discipline your brain to tell your body exactly what it needs to do in the shortest amount of time. You could go in the studio, and as if you don't absorb what the teacher's saying, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
So you need your brain to be finely tuned. It's as finely tuned as your body, if not more.
But interesting that you say it's not necessarily the case that somebody needs to be doing ballet from the age of 4. No. It's more important that they have maybe some sort of flexibility, some sort of sport even behind them.
Yeah, they have the ability in their body. you know, a lot of dancers have started late and come, you know, and have come on and have done very well in their careers, but because their body and their brain want to do it, there's nothing you can't do in your life if you decide you're gonna do it. Of course, there are certain limitations, but if you really want to do something, it's a bit like ballet. So if you find that you have, let's say, 14, 15, 16-year-old, they're still well within that age limit, and even a sneaky 17-year-old, to do it fully, to do it full time. But you'd have to, for a 17-year-old, you'd have to condense it into 2 years and get them out professionally working at 20. Otherwise, it's too late. Going training at 20 and 21, it's too late.
And how long is the life then after that?
Up to 40 if you're lucky.
I mean, do dancers actually, are there dancers, professional dancers who are lasting that long? That sounds
40,
quite
43.
old for a dancer.
It is quite old, but if you look after your body, and again, it's about that discipline of training every day, of listening to your muscles, and it's quite complex. People think we just turn up, throw on a tutu and just prance around. No, it's a sport. Think of it as a sport, and then it becomes an art only when you're good enough, when you can make it look easy, because it isn't. How
natural is it? You know, if we think of the turned out legs and the perfectly held arms and the very long neck. I mean, we're both sitting up in the seat as we do that. Yeah. How natural a position or a pose is it for the human body?
For some people, it's just the way they are. I find, funnily enough, quite a lot of foreign nationals come to me, Eastern Europeans, and that's just the way their children are. It's funny. But then, of course, you find Irish people that are like that, but just more of them come to me. Either they see it in their children straight away and they have the long necks. But I have such a huge amount of talented young dancers, 10-year-old dancers that are dancing at a standard of a 15-year-old dancer. It's insane. So I kind of have to rein them in a bit, because physically they're not ready, but mentally they're ready to go.
So presumably then the academy is where you're hoping that those young dancers will go to,
very much so,
to make a professional life.
Yeah, well, not just my
themselves.
own. It's open to everybody. All you have to do is audition, and you know, if we feel I'm not going to be putting anyone into the academy who's not going to have potential to make a career out of this.
I remember seeing your production of La Sylphide, which is the ballet based around the Chopin music.
Yes.
And it was in the National Convention Centre.
Yes, that's
just before Christmas, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there were a front line of what I presume from the names are young Irish dancers. I have the programme here in front of me. Dervla Mitchell, Sarah Whelan, Olga Gargan. The Olga might be slightly Eastern European. Rebecca Flynn and Arena Senkina. Now she sounds Eastern European.
Yeah, and Anya McNamara. They've all been with me since the very start, since I opened the school.
So are these the sort of young Irish dancers that you would foresee having a career staying here in Ireland?
Yes, I want to be able to facilitate them to stay here, to have a career, not only just in ballet, but have their own career from 9 to 5, and then they come and do this as a love. In Russia, I'm going to tell you a secret, sometimes you're touring all over the world, you don't know where you are. Does that make any sense? You're getting off buses, you don't know what point of the world in any given point a day in the country you are, and you just kind of get out on stage and you just do it like a robot, where these girls and young boys and gentlemen really, really want to do it. So you have that difference, you have that passion, where when you've been travelling a lot in a company, you kind of tend to lose that passion. You just get off and you fulfill a bunch of steps to that music, and all you're thinking of, and I found myself in that position on the stage, is where I'm going to get food and what time I'm going to go to bed at. But I could be on stage midway through Swan Lake. But that's how much you tour, where these dancers are really, really want to entertain the audience, and that's the difference.
How are you funding all of this?
A little bit of the Arts Council, they've come on board, they've been quite generous with us. Allianz have been hugely supportful for, over 8 years now. Without them, it actually wouldn't have happened. And I don't mean to say just because I'm plugging them, it actually wouldn't have happened. It's really all my own money, my sponsors' money, some Arts Council money, and hopefully further into the future, they will trust us and they'll come on board. And it's all Indigenous talent we're trying to grow.
Well, let's tell a little bit more then about what people will see and hear in the National Concert Hall at the weekend.
Yeah, the National Concert Hall, it is the best of.
So where you first performed, I think, was it?
It was, yeah. I was 14 when I came back from Russia, and I performed there, my first solo, and I did very well, and I have very fond memories of the place, and I've performed there so many times since. But it's all the best. We have Melissa Hamilton, she's a first soloist in the Royal Ballet. She's from Belfast, so she's going to come over and do Swan Lake. And then we have a wonderful couple coming all the way over. They're actually based in Germany. They're both trained. She was trained in the Kirov, and he was trained in Perm. I remember when he was a little boy. He's only 3 years younger than me, but he seemed like tiny then. And then all my young dancers, when they're not young, all my dancers, I call them young because I feel ancient. And then all the best of opera. And then we have...
who are the singers? are they young Irish opera singers
They are
in training?
Yeah,
Or
no, they're all professional. All of them are professional, but they're young and up and coming. Kind of, maybe you wouldn't see them on the front of the bill quite yet, but there's some, I mean, amazing talent there. I was there for the auditions, and I have to say I was completely blown away and very proud as well that we have that kind of talent here.
And musically, what will you be dancing? What will the dancers be dancing to and the singers be singing to?
Okay, so a lot of all the opera is with an orchestra. A lot of the ballet is with tracks because it's so we would need an orchestra at the side of the stage to do the ballets. So unfortunately, the only thing that's the only ballet that will be performed live to music is my own. So that's The Dying Swan. But before we end, because the tickets are nearly gone, I just want to say that you can get it's going to be live streamed.
Oh yes.
Yeah, on it's from an Irish company called liveoneveryscreen.com, and it's through masterpieces.ie. That's their own website, and you can watch it live on the internet as it happens. So that's new. 4 cameras are going to be filmed the whole thing. It's going to go out all over the world.
All right, we're going to finish up by listening to a little piece of music from Swan Lake. You're dancing to, is it Swan Lake you're dancing to?
No, I'm dancing The Dying Swan.
This
so it's from
piece.
Carnival, from the Carnival of the Animals.
Right,
So that's how I'm doing that, not to be confused with Swan Lake. And Melissa, the most beautiful, fantastic Melissa, is dancing Swan Lake, the Adagio.
And this is what people will be hearing in the background, I guess, as she's doing that. Music from Swan Lake, and Monica Loughman's Masterpieces of World Opera and Ballet takes place this coming Saturday and Sunday at the National Concert Hall. Few tickets left, nch.ie. Get in there quickly if you want to find out. The streaming, masterpieces.ie, and liveoneverystream.com. A new play by Derek